This video is mute, meaning there is no background music. I encourage you to fill the void with your own content, if you so require. Safe travels!
End of message.
We're getting close to our overnight spot. I'm gonna tell you in advance that it's going to be a full moon. A perfect opportunity for me to pull out my camera and take some mug shots. I'll share with you some of my moon pics, beginning with the one I had taken that night. Courtesy of the moon, my camera, and its outstanding zoom. Enjoy. We had a good night's sleep, and it's time to rumble on. As a matter of fact, it could have been a bad night's sleep, as this lot has got a story to it. It appears someone called cops on me. I already started to feel comfortable, was about to chill and go to sleep. Then I saw lights flashing outside. They are characteristic for a police vehicle. I don't recall hearing the wailer. I thought like, what the hell is going on? And decided not to exit my van. I heard footsteps circling my rig and saw the beam of a flashlight peeking inside. What's interesting though is that I never heard the knock on the window. It appears that the police has got far more common sense than an average civilian. They decided that I'm harmless and not worth bothering. They did keep close tabs on me though. I eventually stuck my head out and saw a police vehicle parked in the distance from me. They remained stationary for a while there, what felt like an hour or two. Grateful for their humanity, I simply went to sleep. The next day, no cops, no hustle, and as you can see for yourself, I simply restarted my trip. I do realize that that situation could have been simply a patrolling vehicle that was passing by and decided to check me out. However, I give only 5% the probability that this is what happened. The remaining 95%, I bet on the fact that they were actually called. The more I travel around the States, the more I see that people are obsessed about property. Do you remember the little girl and her father from a little while ago when I decided to stop to take some photos and reorganize my trailer? That was still in New Mexico, but close to the border with Colorado. For some reason, Colorado is the state where I had the most experience with this obsession. And along with the obsession goes hand-in-hand paranoia that every single person who lives unconventionally is bound to be up to no good and simply evil. Whoa! Fortunately, I met an exception to this. Let me tell you a little anecdote from my trip to California. I was in LA, or in Beverly Hills to be exact, and it was getting late. It was obviously a nice neighborhood and I saw plenty of opportunities to park. I had somewhere at the back of my head that it might be a bad idea to stay there overnight, since it's a neighborhood and freaking Beverly Hills at that. But hey, my entire life is a gamble, so I might as well gamble on. Once again, I already started to feel comfortable when I saw a guy approaching my van. I decided to walk out to him, as I truly dislike, and it gently said, while people knock on my window. It turned out to be a senior gentleman who politely asked me what was I doing there. I explained and we had a nice little chat together. It caught me by surprise just how civil and friendly he was. He even told me that I seemed to be a good person, but he advised me not to stay in the neighborhood, as it's frequently patrolled by the police and I might simply get into trouble. That said, we bid farewell to each other and I drove my merry way. To this day, this is one of the best interactions I've ever had with another human being, and there's not many of them. Who would have thought that in Beverly Hills of all places, which is far more likely to be inhabited by heartless, insecure and rotten snobs, who would be the first to reach for their handset in order to bring it to the limits of the law for disrupting their peace, you would actually find such kind personality. While here, in the middle of nowhere, people got the audacity to call cops on you, while you never even entered the neighborhood, you parked by the highway on a turnout, pullover area, road bay, whatever you wanna call it, and it just so happened that there were fences of some households nearby. Shame on you, Colorado inhabitants, and of that town in particular. There is still the 5% though, But it's not a coincidence that the police showed up not long after I parked there. That was A, and B, I don't believe in coincidences, but I do believe in deliberation. On a different note, we're on our way to Durango and will be soon entering its limits. And so we have arrived. You can see right away that this town boasts some nice surroundings. I especially like how some of the hills circling the valley, along with their winding roads, remind me of the hills surrounding LA. Unfortunately, this town is not what it poses to be. It's one of those that's got a pretty wrapper, but when you twist it open, you see... Durango seems to be inhabited by uptight and rather unfriendly Republicans, and the reason for this is property, and probably some other things. We'll be soon taking a turn onto a parking lot of some shopping mall, which I mostly remember as trouble. I actually managed to park there and go for a ride on my bike. You would think that it's cool, the more that everything was fine when I returned. But then I also had to check something around my rig, so I dropped the anchor of my trailer to raise the rear end of my van. That was when the trouble began. A security guy appeared in front of me as if he was teleported. Hopefully there were no flies to interfere with the process. He questioned me about my intentions and eventually told me that I'm gonna have to leave. He obviously didn't forget to mention the star of the show, private property. I was like, the hell? I'm not doing anything wrong and I was about to leave anyway. You know, it's kind of creepy to think that they must have observed me from the very moment I got there. When they saw me dropping the anchor, it was like a red flag. Oh no, he's about to camp out and claim the entire lot to himself. Get him! Welcome to America, the country of huge parking lots, which are never filled to their capacity, are rarely filled to their half capacity, and guess what? You are not allowed to park there! And why? Because it's a private property and you've been deemed an above average user. I'm not saying it's alright to casually claim a parking spot to yourself and start living out of it just because it's a huge empty space. But it should never be an issue if a traveling person wants to stay there, even if it's for a day or two. There is simply this scare in America that a property, which is a huge parking lot, may get misused. What is justifiable, but only to a certain degree. Cause mostly it is simply a symptom of paranoia, insecurity, and straight up selfishness. I'm just glad that the guy who came to hustle my ass was actually alright. He was simply doing his job, what was unfortunate. But the person who stirred up the entire incident, which is his boss, is a different story.